Actually, not it's all my favourite.
Well, David downstairs is Steve. Do you want to say hello to Steve? That's enough. Don't make him on. Gets a bit of a big head when people start talking to him. And what we do, give you an insight to our city, show you some of our buildings, some dates, stuff like that. Don't worry, it's not a history, like that a bit louder. Are we all going for a laugh? Yes! You don't, alright, well, calm down. You don't go and bust them, you know. How about do I think you're going to have a bit of fun in it. If I just stand and go, that buildings are like there, or that ones are like, you'd probably get off the next stop, wouldn't you? So I tried to put a bit of fun in it. You guys at the front, where are we from? I know it well. Where are you from, my love?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. New Zealand. Welcome to Liverpool, guys. Oh, is he? Whereabouts? Well, I sit up in the wall. Oh, she's always going on, isn't she? Typical woman. Where are you from, guys?
San Diego.
San Diego. Ireland. San Diego,
Dublin.
Nice.
Nice bit of the world.
So I can't remember where you're from, love. Kuwait. Welcome to Liverpool. All from Kuwait? Philippines. Welcome to Liverpool, guys. You from, buddy? What's up? Would I call you buddy? Where are you from, mate? Blackburn. Not too far, is it? Just down the road. Where are you from, mate? Nigeria. Welcome to Liverpool, my friends. Riff Raff at the back, where are we all from? Stoke-on-Trent. You wish you were from the Maldives, you mean? Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately you're from Stoke-on-Trent. Unlucky. Gratitude that lives there, not me. Well, welcome to Liverpool, guys. Best city in the world, Liverpool. On your right hand side, nearly forgot there, look at that, times flies, they're really having fun. The red and white stripy building used to be called Albion House. That was the headquarters for the White Star shipping line. Anybody know the ship? Shut up, you want to look, you've done 209 times. It was the Titanic, because that's where it was owned and registered in that building. It was built in Belfast. They went down to Southampton to make its maiden voyage to come to Liverpool, but never made it. 15th of April 1912. Have we all seen the film The Titanic?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but you know it sinks at the end. Sorry if I've spoiled it for you. But did you notice that 80% of the crew were actually from Liverpool? Even though it never ever come to Liverpool, 80% of the crew come from Liverpool. We're going to turn left here, we're going to show you our three graces. These three wonderful buildings. If you come in on a cruise ship, you can read about these three buildings. Can you hear that guy with the trumpet? He's sitting up there in the corner by the red white stripy building. He's there from about 8:30 in the morning. And when we come past at 4 o'clock, he's still sitting there blowing his trumpet.
How much of that?
I can set a lunch on the money.
Cruise ships still come in?
Of course they do, yeah. Yeah, we have quite a few.
On a regular basis?
Regular basis, yeah. There's supposed to be one in today, but it hasn't turned up. But normally, like, it's like the big ones, like the one last week, there was just under 4,000 people in it. It's a big ship, big one.
Lovely, isn't it?
So hands up if it's your first time in Liverpool. Where haven't you been before? Far for you, like, but you know. Where have you been before, love? Well, we're better than Stafford or upon Avon. No, we're the best city in the world, my love. I'll guarantee you that. Hands up if you've been before. Most of you, yeah. Hands up if you couldn't care less. Cheers, Steve. Now there's the first of our three graces on your left hand side now. This is the port of Liverpool. This is the oldest of the three graces, 1907 that first opened. Most of us are from Britain. If you look at the very top, it just looks like St Paul's Cathedral on the top of the building. Where we are now, but we're not posh in Liverpool, we simply call it the Pier Head. Oh God, look, I've got some more victims, passengers. 2, 4, 6. We've got about 10 seats upstairs, Steve, that's about it. As we turn round again on our left hand side, this is the Museum of Liverpool. There's 800 years of Liverpool history in there. All free to enter, guys, like all our public places, they're all free to enter. So as we pop in, guys, just on your left hand side on the pavement there with all the... Living the dream now, the driving the bus.
So I'm the driver now.
There's two just there, and I'm going to sit here, guys.
I'll come and join you up there.
Thank you, my friend.
Are you going to be alright there?
Yeah, perfect.
There's 2 sheets upstairs at the back, mate, if you want to sit in the back.
This called offers, mate, so...
Nah, unlucky.
Alright, mate. We can move
So,
back. Move back there.
next to John is Ringo's star. If you notice, Ringo's right foot is sticking up in the air. On the sole of his foot, it's got L8 written on his sole of his foot for Liverpool 8. That's where Ringo was born and bred. Next to him is George Harrison. He's got an Indian belt on because he spent a lot of time in India. And obviously next to him, far right, is Paul McCartney. He's got a cine camera over his shoulder for his first wife, Linda McCartney. No, there's only the one there, I'm afraid, mate. The two at the very back.
What was the outcome for then?
He sent world peace. He sent out an acorn to each leader of the world for world peace.
Hindi naman yata
He
sila
had an
bababa.
acorn in his hand.
Obviously it didn't work.
No, it didn't.
Ikot lang tayo. Pwede naman tayo sumakay uli mamaya kung gusto. Wala na tayo.
So we're just coming back now to where we just come down.
45 minutes
For you guys that have just joined us, the building on our right is the Port of Liverpool, the oldest of the Three Graces, 1907. On our left hand side is the Cunard building, which is the youngest of the three. 1918, that was first opened. That was the headquarters for the White Star, not the White Star, the Cunard shipping line until they moved to America. Today, it's home to our local city. There's two, wasn't that funny, mate? There's 2 fans in either one in either one. They're called Liverpool and Everton. They're our two football team. I don't know if you noticed, guys, but since you've been in our city centre, have you noticed all the wheelie bins are purple? Have you noticed? Do you know why they're purple? Because the city council, half of them support Liverpool, which is red, and the other half supports Everton, which is blue. So they had a big debate. Half of them wanted them red, half of them wanted them blue. So what they've done is they mixed the 2 colours together. Purple. So that's why all the really bins in Liverpool are purple. So this scruffy looking building on the left hand side now, this is probably the most iconic, most famous building in Liverpool. It's the Roy Liver building. That first opened in 1911. Have you all seen the birds on the top?
Yes.
Is it a real bird? No. No, it's a mythical bird. It's 2 birds in one. It's got the head of a cormorant, which is the seabird, and the body and wings of an heraldic eagle. How tall do you think them birds are? I'll give you a bit of a clue. They're taller than this bus, and this bus is 14'6". Not quite right up. They're actually 18 foot tall with a 23 foot wingspan. Oh, cheers, Steve. St Nick's Church just on your right hand side. That's the 5th church that stood there since the 1200s.
Right, looks like that's been there since the 1200s.
On your right hand side, on the corner where it says shh, is the Western Approaches. That's the World War II Museum. That was the strategic headquarters for the Battle of the Atlantic. And where we are now, this is actually our financial quarter. So if you're down there a bit later on or tomorrow, guys, and you do see a lot of the fellas walking around with suits on, shirt and ties, hey, listen, they're actually going to work, not court. Okay. Just, well, some of them are probably going to court, like, but the majority of them are going to work. This is going to impress you guys. This next building coming up on your left hand side, big sandstone building, it's called Exchange Station. That was the world's first underground electrified subterranean railway station. It's all closed down now, it's a bit of a shame, but that was the Lancashire Yorkshire Line. It's all offices these days. And when they closed that down in the early 70s, they give us this thing, Eddie, on your left, off the kip of that. That's supposed to be like your modern version. I know where you can stick that.
This?
It's that, yeah. Looks like a Meccano check gone wrong. Stated. That's what I said. Or words to that effect.
Yeah.
We're going to turn right now onto Dale Street. Dale Street is one of the original 7 streets of Liverpool. And as we straighten up, that building directly ahead of us now that looks like it's sticking out into the middle of the road, that is our town hall. We'll get a better view of that in a few minutes. But we're going to turn left here onto North John Street and we're going to show you where the world famous Cavern Club is.
Oh yeah, good to see the Cavern Club, right? You heard of that one? Oh yeah, yeah.
Galing na tayo kanina dito. Sa Tavern.
So this building coming up on our right hand side now, guys, if you notice, it's got no windows in it. Simply because that's another air vent for the Mersey tunnel. So we're going to go straight through these lights. Obviously we waited the green first. With that building directly in front of us now, we've got the 4 statues on the brown columns. That's the Hard Day's Night Hotel. That's a Beatle themed hotel. Just before that hotel, just where all the people are. See the people walking down that street now? Oh. That's Matthew Street. That's where the world famous Cavern Club is.
Yeah, on the left. Yeah, there.
This street just there coming up on your left now.
Yeah.
Don't get confused, guys. When you look down, you see the Cavern Club on the left. That's the pub. The Cavern Club is on the right hand side, a little bit further down. So, is anybody getting off at the Cavern Club now? Yeah, just stop, please, stay. So this is a stop for the Cavern Club, guys. So for every half hour, the last one gets here probably just on 4 o'clock, just after 4 o'clock.
Di pa tayo bababa.
Every half hour.
No problem, ladies. Tell you the truth, we got to get rid of them. They're in stalking me, all bleeding ladies too. We're on personal terms for names and everything.
You okay there? Yeah, fine. Perfect.
Got 2 seats here, girls. What you find funny? What you find funny? You get this scout sense of humour up one day, don't worry. Keep coming back and you'll understand us. Just ahead of us on our left hand side is the Victoria Monument. That was first put there in about 1901, not long after the Queen Victoria's death.
Yeah.
But before that was there, our castle used to stand there, and our castle stood there for 500 years. And then when they took it down the road, the building, and made the Cannon Dock foundations for the Cannon Dock. I'll show you the Cannon Dock when we get down there. I couldn't show it before because you were all gabbing to me. But we're going to turn right here onto Castle Street. Have you seen it, have you? It's hilarious, isn't it? It turns into a king. Keep looking, love, you'll see it.
You're going to break my neck.
So that's our town hall directly ahead of us, guys. 5th of July 1964, when the Beatles come back after conquering America, they stood on that balcony with the 6 columns, and you couldn't see the floor there for about 8,000 screaming girls that wanted to get a look at the Beatles. This pub on the right hand side on the corner, there's a pub there behind all that scaffolding. It's called the William Gladstone. And the William Gladstone, he was 4 times Prime Minister of Britain. A lot of people ask us, why have they named a pub after William Gladstone in Liverpool? Simple reason being, William Gladstone was born in Liverpool. So, a little bit later on the tour, I'll show you where he was born. We're going across now, we're going on to Victoria Street. Victoria Street is another one of the original 7 streets, same as Dale Street. In our early days, we were one of the richest cities in the world, believe it or not. This building coming up on the right hand side through the lights, the sandstone one with the orange canopies, it's the old GPO, the old General Post Office. So all over the country, they were sending letters or parcels abroad, overseas. It all come here to this building and got sent overseas from this building. Well, if you look at the building, guys, it's not about building for a post office.
Wow.
It's the Met Quarter these days. This building on our right hand side again with the big grey doors. Back in our early days we used to have trams in Liverpool. This used to be where the trams were housed. This was the tram shed. But today we don't need trams because all our railway system in our city centre and the little surrounding areas, it's all underground, so we don't need trams these days. Today, that is actually a conservation centre. So that's where all the artifacts from all the country come to get cleaned, restored. If they can't do it in their own place, it all comes here to get done. There's quite a few single seats, my love.
Oh yeah.
So big event I showed you guys earlier on is for this tunnel on your left hand side. This is the first of our 2 tunnels. This is the Queensway tunnel, opened by the King in 1934. Have you all seen the Harry Potter films? Have you seen the one where Hagrid goes through the tunnel on his motorbike?
Yeah.
It's that tunnel. Anybody seen the film yesterday?
Yes.
See that the end where they're dancing through the tunnel? It's that tunnel. Anybody seen the Fast and the Furious films?
Yes.
Seen the art gallery? The Walker Art Gallery is the largest art gallery outside of London. There's only London. There's a bigger art gallery than Liverpool. And on your left hand side is St John's Gardens. As you can see, they're pretty well maintained by the City Council. For the size of Liverpool, we have over 2,500 acres of greenland in Liverpool, which makes Liverpool, for its size, the greenest city in the country. The other Mersey tunnel is about a quarter of a mile, probably not even that, to our right, and that's the Kingsway tunnel, opened by the Queen in 1971. So it was actually 37 years between the opening of our 2 Mersey tunnels.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Dr. Duncan's coming up on your right hand side. Dr. Duncan was a local GP. He was also the first chief medical officer in the country when that pandemic hit us, which was the cholera. It had contaminated all the water and thousands of people were dying. It was actually Dr. Duncan that told everybody to stop drinking water and drink beer. What a guy. Over on our right hand of us there, the big red building, that's called the Royal Court. Round the corner to the left is the Empire Theatre. The Empire Theatre have musicals on. These mimic it sometimes. A couple of weeks ago in the Empire, we had Mamma Mia on. In there, it was called Mam, I'm Here. Limestead Station, directly ahead of us. Limestead Station is actually the oldest passenger terminal on Earth. That was the very first one of its kind in the world. First opened stores in 1836. Tell you a bit more about that when we get around. This building coming up on our left hand side at St George's Hall is the largest Grade 1 listed building in the country. Prince Charles described this building as probably the most important neoclassical building in Europe. He was a wedding on here before, right? And I was shouting, don't do it mate, don't do it. And when we got up there, it was two women getting married. I thought it was quite funny myself. Like. Now that used to be our law courts. All free to enter, guys. You want to go and have a look inside, have a look at the old law courts, go into the basement, look at the old cells, look at the old ballroom, the concert room. It's all free to do so.
The performance, did you see that? No. What, you could sit?
Winding away up a hill, basically, on that way.
Yeah.
They've also got a floor in St George's Hall called the Minton Tile floor. It's worth over £20 million. They only open up a couple of times throughout the year just to air it out and let people have a look. Even then, you're still not allowed to stand on it. There's only two of them in the world. We've got one here in St George's Hall. The other one is in the White House in America. On that column just to your left there as we go around now, Arthur Wellesley used to be Prime Minister. He's from Dublin in Ireland, famously defeated Napoleon in the Battle of Waterloo. More commonly known as the Duke of Wellington. I just tried to waffle on because I hate this road. It's called London Road. Needs a bit of a lot of TLC. But this building on your right hand side now with the scaffolding, I went there 2 years ago. I only asked them if I could have my burger well done. I said, what, they still owes me £3.50 by the way. We're going to turn right at these lights onto Seymour Street. In Liverpool today, we have over 2,500 listed buildings in Liverpool. There's only, in London, that has more listed buildings than Liverpool. I'm going to be staying up on your left-hand side. Go with terraced houses, you can see, Georgian houses. It's called Seymour Terrace. They were first opened in 1810. They've been there for over 200 years. In the early 80s, they were all derelict, all run down. They were on the verge of knocking them all down. And the last minute, some developers actually bought them and redeveloped them and refurbished them in 1992. Bit of a shame really, because back in the early days, lovely family homes. Today, it's either student accommodation or offices. Bit of a shame really. Does anyone like to purchase one of these houses on your left?
How much?
Only £500,000. $500,000.
Is that all?
That's all.
That seems quite cheap actually.
It is compared to London. £500,000 probably get you a one-bedroom flat in London, wouldn't it?
And have you got gardens out the back?
Hello. Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you the truth, don't really care. Do you know what, just for you, look, when I finish, I'm nearly around the corner, I'm going to come round and go and have a look. So leave me my number after, and I'll let you know. I'm not too sure, but back in the early days, obviously they had no electricity, and the toilets were out the back, and you had to share them. So if you're crossing your legs, you need a toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's already somebody there, you've got to wait. Mad that, isn't it? They're all like, obviously they've all got toilets in that inside today, but they've been redeveloped. In Liverpool, there's just under 1 million. About 950 odd million. It's not too bad. I thought it was like 500,000. I was talking about that, but one of our drivers said no, it's just under 1 million. God. Like rabbits, aren't they? Looking over to your right is the one that you can see when it says Radio City 96.7. In the 70s, that was the tallest revolving restaurant in Europe. Closed down in the 70s. Doesn't revolve anymore. It's home to our largest independent radio station, which is Radio City. The official title is called St John's Beacon, but we call it simply Radio City Tower. Titanic, you know where you're staying?
No, I wish.
That's about 2 miles that way.
Is it down in Albert Dock?
No, it's just further along from the Albert Dock. Not too far. It's very posh in there. That's where Liverpool Football Club stay before every home game, the Titanic Hotel.
Nothing's already moved. Back down there and he's gone.
Yeah, he's way ahead, isn't he?
So just on your right hand side, you can see the train sheds. Here the roofs off Lancashire Station. First opened in 1836. Go straight down, stay. Owned by a local MP, a guy called William Huskinson, who opened Lancashire Station. He jumped on the track, started waving his flag. Train driver thought it was time to go, so the train started pulling out. Poor William Huskinson didn't realise the train was moving. It actually knocked him down and killed him. It actually cut him in half. Yeah, got buried on the Monday and then again on the Tuesday. But I like that, we got a 2-for-1 voucher. As you turn left here, ladies, there is the Adelphi.
Oh, yeah.
Look right and look up. Oh dear. There's a little bit of a statue. He's called Liverpool Resurgence, but for some unknown reason in Liverpool he's called Dickie Lewis. But come back in December, guys, you'll see where the tinsel's hanging from. Anybody staying in the Adelphi Hotel just there to your left? Thank God for that. Bit of a schnuff, very nice. Used to be one of the top hotels in the world. It's not even in the top 10 in Liverpool today. Nothing to do with Liverpool. It's owned by the Britannia Group who own Pontins. So nothing to do with it. A bit tired, a bit dated at the minute. And what we're doing now, we're making our way to really educate our students. In Liverpool today, we have about 75,000 students in Liverpool today. We do have the highest retention rate in Britain. What that means is they come here, they get educated, they like Liverpool that much that they stay. But we are doing something right. Not much, but we're doing something right. And they bring over £100 million into our economy each year, which is not too bad when you consider all they buy is pot noodles and alcohol. That's all they buy, you know. Now, don't get us wrong, we don't care what they eat and drink. They're bringing over £100 million into our economy. You can drink whatever you like, guys. And we have 3 universities. We've got John Moores University, Hope University, and the University of Liverpool. We do have a 4th one, but it's only very tiny. It's called Edge Hill. Has anybody heard of the term Red Brick University? They're actually derived from this building coming up on your left hand side, just where all this scaffolding is. This is the very first ever Red Brick University, just there to your left. First opened in 1892. Designed by a guy called Alfred Waterhouse. We're going to turn right here onto Mount Pleasant. I'm going to show you the first of our 2 cathedrals. The first cathedral I'm going to show you is the Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King, which is our Catholic cathedral.
This is very funny looking thing.
So it is on your right hand side. And go up to the very top, guys, there's over 25,000 individual pieces of stained glass up there, and on a very, very sunny day, which is not too bad, like a kaleidoscope inside, because all the different coloured pieces of stained glass shine all over the walls and floors. Pretty spectacular. All free to enter, guys. You've got to go and have a look inside. Something's about 6 o'clock. Bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King. So we simply call it Paddy's Wigwam. Because of our Irish heritage, St. Patrick's Day, Paddy. And obviously because of its shape, because it's shaped like a wigwam.
Paddy's wigwam.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
Best thing to do, stage, go left, mate. We normally go right here, but as you can see, there's loads and loads of traffic. So we'll just do a little bit of a diversion. I'll just have to wing it from here, guys, because I don't know any of these buildings. Turn right here, Steve. Cheers, buddy. You haven't come much out the way, it's just that we're stuck there for about 10-15 minutes in that traffic, so we're coming this way.
Sports and fitness centre, huh?
Just on the left hand side, there's a pub. On the right hand side, there's the City of Liverpool College. I'm getting good, aren't I? That's the art college on our right hand side. So what we're going to do, guys, is when we get to this junction, we're going to turn right and go right again and come back down to that road that we just should have been on. Because of all the traffic, we come this way, it misses all the traffic out. Yeah, please, mate. We should have come right and come along this street on these lights. We should have come straight across these lights from right to left. But when you get back on, ladies, it'll be round the corner on your right hand side.
Can we get off this one as well, please?
You certainly can, my friend. There's some more getting off, Steve.
Thanks a lot, that was lovely.
Cheers, but front line's just there on the corner. Don't forget to show your ticket to the bar staff and you get a free glass of sparkling wine.
Back anyway, aren't we?
Probably 20
Come
minutes.
down
Yeah.
through the
It's not
public
bad.
out, mate.
You can see out the front. Back there you can't see out the front, you can see more out the sides, but yeah, we can see most things from here, can't we?
So the Philmont down hall just on your right hand side, guys, to the side of the lights. If you take your ticket in there later on or tomorrow, show the bar staff your ticket. They will gladly give you a free glass of sparkling wine. It's been voted 3 times the most ornate pub in Britain. It's the only purpose-built Grade 1 listed pub in the country. And ladies, you can actually go to the gents' toilet, so you can see there by the doorway, it says come and see our famous toilets. The Grade 1 listed toilet's worth over £1 million. It's pink Irish marble with 9-carat gold taps. Just ladies, just as a member of staff, we would gladly show you the original gents' toilets. One of my favourite seats coming up now on our left hand side, this is called Falconer Street.
Head height.
That's been there since
All the way down there
1820.
in a dark green marble.
Do a lot of
Very
period
funny.
dramas in Liverpool. On your right hand side on the pavement is EasyJet's lost luggage. I've been to pick it up, yeah. And these buildings on your right, they are all owned by Sir Paul McCartney. It's Sir Paul McCartney's very own fame school. It's called LIPA, the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. And probably the best reveal in Liverpool, just there to your right. On your left hand side now, guys, as we turn. It's the Liverpool Cathedral. It's the biggest cathedral in Britain. It's the 5th largest anywhere in the world, and this does boast the highest and heaviest peal of bells. It's got the tallest tower in the world, which is 231 feet high. It's the longest cathedral. It has the largest musical instrument in Britain, which is the Willis organ with over 10,000 pipes. And just to round it off, it has the largest single stained glass window in the world. How old do you think it is, guys? 400? That's probably about the average of what people think. You're not far out, you know. You're absolutely miles away. You're going to be very surprised. It took 74 years to build that. We started it in 1904 and finished it in 1978. So to its grand opening, it's only 44 years old. Mad, isn't it? Paddy's Wigwam is older than that. Paddy's Wigwam was 1967. 1978. The guy that designed that was only 22. Sir Giles Gilbert Scott designed that. He didn't live long enough to see his largest creation finished.
Yeah, that's right.
He died before it was finished.
Yeah.
Does. Have you all seen the iconic red telephone box? Most of us have seen it. Does anybody know who designed it? You do? I just told you. Sir Giles Gilbert Scott, the guy who designed our Liverpool Cathedral, also designed the red telephone book. So there's a telephone box in there, so his smallest creation is inside his largest creation. This is Rodney Street, this is the Harley Street of the north. It's true, say you can walk in one end looking 65, and walk out the other end looking 21. So we're downstate. On your left hand side now it says purple bricks or sold. Number 62, Rodney Street, was the birthplace of William Gladstone. 4 times Prime Minister, that's where he was born. Cheers, State. Rodney Street is also the home to the very first ever X-ray machine. The X-ray machine was actually developed on this street. Number 34, just on the left hand side, is the birthplace of Henry Booth. Anybody know who Henry Booth is? I don't say Mrs. Booth's son. Henry Booth, he was the MD of the railway. He's the guy that funded the money for Lime Street Station. Because when Lime Street Station first opened, there was the Liverpool to Manchester line. We're going to turn left here, but as you go straight ahead, if you look on the left hand side at the far end, you can see the red telephone box. Just before that telephone box, number 4 Rodney Street was the birthplace of Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager. That's where he was born, just up there. If you want anything doing, guys, you can get it done on the street. Very expensive though. Your dentist, hair care, skin care, chiropractors, plastic surgeons, but you've got to have 3 deep pockets because it is pretty expensive. On our left hand side now is St Luke's Church, known locally as the bombed out church. You'll see right when you see it. It was 1941 and then 70 bikes actually hit it, but all it done was burnt it out. So when the war was over, they chipped it all out. It was absolutely fine, so they decided to leave it. The statues that was just passed, that's called the Truce. That's a German officer and a British officer. That's World War I, 1914, Christmas Day. They decided to put the guns down and have a game of football instead. Now we're coming into Chinatown. That's what's staying up, guys. Can you see the 2 dragons on the plinth just in front of us now, either side? Well, now we're in Chinatown. That's the start of Chinatown. It's the oldest Chinese community in Europe. It's not the biggest, but one of the smallest. It's actually the oldest in Europe. And as we go through these lights, just ahead of us, you can see now, ahead of it on your right hand side, through the lights, you can see the Chinese Arch. That's the largest ceremonial arch outside of mainland China. You will not see one bigger than that. First erected in 2001, there's 9,000 pieces on it. Over 200 carved dragons on it, which apparently 12 of them are pregnant, which is a sign of good health and wealth in China. The 3 blue blocks that you can see near the top, that simply says, mind your head. It actually says Chinatown. Looks nice overnight and all, it's all lit up overnight. And now, we're on to Chinatown because there's another 2 dragons on the front. All these boards on your right hand side, done by a local group called Zap Graffiti. They started the project about 10 years ago. Didn't think it was going to last too long, but 10 years old, they still come back to this day. The guy that organised it all for them was a guy called John Culshaw. Now, John Culshaw is a world-renowned spray can artist in his own right. This is one of John's works coming up to the side of these trees. This is called the Secretary Bird. There we go. Bit of highlight, isn't it? That's pretty safe up there. That's where I'm for. That's where I just up the road there. So it's just here on your left hand side, guys. This is your King Food. These are little pop-up bars in there. Peaky Blinders, Yellow Sub, Hippie Chic, Black Pearl, Birdies, Get Some Golf. Unfortunately, guys, if somebody wants to get off here, we haven't got to stop here. We have to go off the next stop. Is that upstairs? That's somebody wants to get off, is it? There must be somebody downstairs, Steve. Oh, there you go, Steve. They're all for you, that. Yeah, we don't usually make these lights happy days. In the 40s, we had the overhead railway system that ran the whole 80 miles of our docking system. Started on about a quarter of a mile so behind us at the back end of the dingle where Ringo was born and bred. And then it ran the whole 8 miles of our docking system all the way up to Seaforth. Locally, it was called the Dockers Umbrella. Now the reason why I got its nickname, the Dockers Umbrella, when the dockers turned up to jump on the tram, if they couldn't afford the fare or it was too full and they had to walk to work, if it started to rain, what they used to do was walk underneath the railway to stay dry. So that's how we got its nickname, the Dockers Umbrella. 1956-ish, yep, as you can see, they demolished it. Been a lovely tourist attraction today, bit of a shame really. But they said it'll cost too much money to refurbish it, so we've got to demolish it. Oh, we understand that. Not a problem. So 1956-ish, they demolished it. And then later on, we actually found out that it cost twice as much to demolish it as it would have done to refurbish it. So really don't know what they're thinking whatsoever then. And this big building coming up on the left hand side, it's called Wapping Quay. That was one of the first fireproof warehouses in the world. Today, posh apartments today, you're correct.
What's your oldest like
So as you go past this big building, if you look at the stone wall just in front of it, as we get past these black railings now, can we all see the black stanchions sticking out of the wall? That's what's remaining of the overhead railway system. It's obviously a lot taller than that. We think it's the same size as the one at the ferry end now. At the end of this wall, you'll see one that's nearly 3 times the size of this, or twice the size. So we reckon it's probably as tall as that. Bit of a shame, really. But we do go in the Museum of Liverpool, guys, at the pier head. There's an overhead railway carriage in there that you can have a little look at. So we're coming back to the Albert Dock now. The Albert Dock is our last stop, but it's also our first stop. So feel free to stay on, guys. You don't want to jump up, you can stay on if you want to stay on. So the Albert Dock on our left hand side is the largest group of Grade 1 listed buildings in the country. It's one of the few things that we beat our capital at. Fireproof, you can never go on fire. It's all brick, steel and stone. No woodwork involved whatsoever. Designed by a guy called, well, quite a bit of time, and I showed you where the castle used to stand, and said it stood there for 500 years. And he brought it down here and built the foundations for the cannon dock. Well, that's the cannon dock on your right hand side. So the wall that you can see on this cannon dock on your right, guys, is built out of our old castle. Well, this is where some people get a little bit confused the first time at the Albert Dock, because if you stand at this end where we are now, or the far end at the top, a lot of people just presume that this dock coming up on our left hand side is the Albert Dock. It's not. That's called the Salthouse Quay Dock.
Albert Dock's in the middle there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Inside there.
The Albert Dock is now coming up on your right hand side, just in this gap now on your right.
There it is.
There's the Albert Dock. That's the Albert Dock in there. See, if you're standing at the end, you can't see that, so you just presume that that's the Albert Dock. It's not. That's the Salthouse Quay Dock.
Yeah, we'll go and find something
Oh,
down
there you go, guys. That's our little whistle-stop tour of our city centre. Hope you've enjoyed our little tour. A little bit more informative of our beautiful city of Liverpool. If you'd like to stay on, feel free to stay on, guys. We'll be leaving in a couple of minutes. If you want to show your appreciation, go on to TripAdvisor, leave us a 5-star review. We very much appreciate it. If it's not 5 stars, stay away. If you want to show your appreciation,